conversation.
Go ahead.
All right,
So
one of the issues that I had to learn coming into the business is that production is considered more than development, right? So when you come out of real estate school, and let's say you're connected to a well-connected group of folks and you immediately do a deal, there's an assumption many times within your organization that you're talented, right? Because how would you be doing business if you weren't good? Not understanding that there's so many things that go into it that aren't factored into the conversation. The barrier to entry into our business is lower, right? Whereas my background is in finance. If you can't produce a certain level of financial related acumen, we don't even want to develop you entry level, right? And then once you come in, you have to do a certain level of paying your dues to ascend through your career before we get you to a certain point. In real estate, I can get a license in 14 days and be in $1 million house with someone, negotiating a contract with Well and Septic, and I don't even know what the hell Well and Septic is.
Preach on.
And it's completely fine. So before we can get to the point of talking about should you have a business account versus a personal account, we got to get to a point of, do you know how not to guide this person that is providing you said check for you to be able to properly manage the right way? And it starts with having the right educators and the right leaders within our organizations. And we have to get away from this ideology of more warm bodies means talent.
I think
it means money.
I think it also goes to come to the board. So we have classes about financial literacy. We have classes about how to run your business like a business.
Outside attendance.
It's multiple.
I'm not trying to set you up.
It hasn't been great, but that's why I'm inviting the people. Come to the classes to learn how to run your business like a business. And as I said before, you need somebody to be your defensive trainer, your offensive trainer, your muscle stretcher. You need multiple mentors and trainers to teach you all the things. I can't teach you how to run your business. I'm not a CPA. I can tell you, you should have a business account. You should have this, you should have that. But I'm not going to give you things that my license don't qualify for.
Oh, facts. And to be clear, I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying...
But I tell them.
To me, that's the part of the conversation that is not happening at happy hours, right? Like that's not happening at the meetups. And I feel like when can that become cool to have, like, I just think about like growing up like under old heads and listening to them talk about books and reading, like Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like I didn't read Rich Dad Poor Dad because my young colleague told me. I had it because an old head told me, like, yo, one day you're going to want to own a business, like you need to read this and Pete Game.
I'm gonna give you what you're asking for. Here you go.
Good.
Culturally, we are very, very different. And in the service, in the community that I mostly serve, I have clients of all walks of life, but in the Black community, we are so far behind in everything. Financial, just because of the redlining, the hyper policing, there's so many things we're behind in. I have to teach differently. I teach because I have to teach differently. Me and Bob don't teach the same. Right. I'm telling you to stop buying Jordan so you can pay your dues. Right. I'm teaching that because that's what's important. So when we talk about the financial awareness, sometimes they can't get to putting it in a separate business account because they need this check to keep the lights on. They need this check to feed their kids. And it's so many things that add up to being in that position. We have to kind of wait to get to 6 months in, 12 months in, and then one more thing happens. My car died, or this happened, or a baby got sick. And so we're still playing catch up. So there's so many different things. And I think if the barrier changed and Long and Foster had a training called Fast Start. I don't know if they still have it, but most brokerages should have a Fast Start per se that says, this is what you need to do. You should contact a mentor. You should contact a financial advisor. You should contact this. And then the onus is on them. But it's not being talked about enough and it's not being implemented enough because the struggle is real. And I mean, I have clients and agents that I've told, get on a payment plan. You don't have to wait till, please, if you see this before the dues are due, get on a payment plan, do something. The board will take a payment plan. So you don't have to lose your license because your license can get suspended if you don't pay it. So don't lose the license that's allowing you to make the money because you didn't pay the money.
And that's more so where I'm going with it, right? Like, we see people who lose a license to help you pay the money because being transparent, I see I see the bags, I see the shit. Like, it's not that the bread not coming in, right? Like, there's some people I legit feel for them and I work with, like, yo, like, I can see that you're not squandering money. Like, let me, like, but then the other people, and then you see the shock in the July post and it's like, well, damn, like.
Yeah. So I'm gonna add it's two things I'm gonna add. Number one, I'll say it starts with it's too many of us in this agent population that listen with our eyes and not our ears, right? So
I have not bought a bag in years.
So what I mean is,
and this is not against people who buy bags.
No,
right?
I mean,
everything else
you do your thing. I ain't judging nobody, but in terms of development and understanding the business stuff and everything you're talking about, it's too many folks in our population that there's random agent X who maybe only sells 7 houses a year and isn't wealthy, but they got all that knowledge and all that game that can help you. But from an optics perspective, the followers aren't high. The sales aren't high. No, I'm not. The followers aren't high. The sales aren't high. So the thought is, well, what can I learn from you? Right? Like, I'm going to let me follow this super successful person who has their systems and their accountants or whoever, who ain't going to share none of that with you, but they'll let you do some grunt work to kind of sort of fit in, right? That's one side of it. The second side of it as well is, in this business, we teach, well, let me not say we, because I'm not a teacher. Many folks teach and harp on lead generation.
Coming. Yeah, I'm about to say,
it's coming.
Yeah.
Many folks harp and teach on lead generation. They don't teach how to go and get business. Those are two different things, right? Lead generation to me is you set up systems and how to follow up with your clients and touch hands and shake hands and kiss babies, and that's great. Making money is, you know what? I'm going to take this client that in 2 years when they're ready, they'll be able to buy and I'm going to develop them, but they need somewhere to rent right now. And the money that I can make from helping them to rent can then in turn pay my dues. And while from a high level coaching perspective, a coach is going to say, that's not ready-made business, right? You need folks in your pipeline for right now. But everyone's situation coming into the business was different. I came into the business with severance from a company. That was great. I learned really fast that real estate is expensive, right? So one of the reasons why my mentor, which since the anonymity is broken, is sitting to my right. The first conversation I had with my mentor, she said, listen, I'm not gonna be able to tell you or teach you how to do lead generation. I've been doing this for 20 years. I got connections with my clients and I started with them when they bought their first house and I developed, I'm gonna be fine. What I am going to do is teach you how to go out here and make some money to make sure that your expenses for your business are covered. Anything past that is on you and you are the boss of your business. And we don't teach that in offices anymore. What we teach is lead generation for high producing stats so that we can achieve awards, so that folks can rain down praise on us without having viable businesses. So I do agree that some of those conversations don't happen, but I'm gonna be fair. These conversations, since I'm in them, happen in happy hours, but they happen amongst people a lot of times that are not seen as popular. So folks don't want to listen. And everyone wants to be a subject matter expert without actually having done the work, right? So it's tough conversations, and you're right. There's a lot of business conversations that'll happen. I did an event where Anisha was a panelist and Bob was actually there supporting in the crowd, and folks had the questions. They wanted to know, but the problem was it was their first time getting out of their own space. To Anisha's point about the board, we pay dues. So if the board is giving events to say, we're going to bring the education to you at no cost, come out and get the education. And here's what I will tell you, to their point, and I think they can attest to it, events that we have about how you're going to become a rock star agent are very well attended.
Standing room only.
The food is gone fast. Everybody and their mother's there. Okay, the events that we have. I just was at an event that R.W. Baird held at the board about developing your retirement as an agent now. There were 10 people in the room, right? And this gentleman started from the most entry level understanding of investing that anyone could understand it to all the way up the high level. And this is a service that most financial firms aren't going to give you unless you have a certain amount of investable assets on file. Right. That was free. Folks weren't there. Some of it is because people just don't know and don't come out, but also some of it is we have to be fair to what Anisha talked about. Financial literacy understanding levels in various communities are different, and we have to understand that. I'm going to say that there's some of my colleagues in this business that don't have to attend those meetings because they've grown in it, right? So it's about doing the work, but it's also much respect to guys like Bob and others who may be well versed in that, who share, right? So it's just about sharing inclusivity. But the last thing I'll say, and I want to get some thoughts from Bob, is we have to be more gracious, right? You can't be an arrogant asshole and then expect veterans in this business who've put the time in, who got families that they've raised, to take a liking to you to say, you know what, I see value in you. You doing this wrong. You doing that wrong. You can't do it. And sometimes we have to try to be of service to them. A lot of the relationships I developed in this business came from saying, hey, the agent on your team can't do this open house. Let me do it. No, I don't need any money, because I need the intellectual property that you're going to give to me to help me to develop my business, right? But no, we want everything. We want a free ride in many cases. So we can't always blame others for not bringing us the information. We don't do our own due diligence. Business classes are offered around this state every day of the year, right? And we're all grown.
Well, I think a class like How to Be a Rockstar Agent versus How to Plan for Retirement is a level of degrees of sexiness, right? I think in terms of, there are some people that I believe don't go to some of these basic business classes out of fear that it might appear that they're failing or that's something that they don't know.
You're stepping on next right now.
And because of that, I think they're less likely to be in front of people to show that there's some inadequacy there. I believe that there's great opportunity for folks if they just are clear about what they're committed to. I kind of go in full circle to what we talked about before, where we've missed the boat for brand new people entering this business. And by the way, there's fewer and fewer of them. And part of it is because of the cost of doing business. The other part is hearing that only 20% of those who get licensed last more than a year. And if I'm being honest, I'm not sure it's that high. And that's really sad. You said 14 hours you can get your license in real estate. Do you know how many hours it takes to be a cosmetologist? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's like 800.
And there's also an apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm. I think we should have apprenticeships.
Well, we've tried. We've even talked to the Real Estate Commission many times, and it really had to do with the challenge of structure and how to be able to differentiate between an apprentice and a fully licensed real estate agent. Nobody wants to be a realtor light, and I think that's been one of the challenges in doing it. I agree. I don't think we should stop trying to figure it out, but that's part of what's been.
And I think that's what goes back to mentoring. When they say, I don't want to mentor, I don't want to give somebody 30% or 50% of my check and then still have to pay a split to my broker. You're right. You might only get 20, 30% of that first check, maybe the first 3. But the value that you will learn, baby, it's like an epidural. It'll save you the pain, the aches and pains of moving forward in this business without the education. If you want the education, study under somebody that has done it. And I'm going to tell you something. If your first mentor doesn't work, fire them and get somebody else. Yeah. If they're not teaching you, if you're not learning, if they're doing everything for you or around you, you can fire them. The contract might say you got to do 3 deals or whatever, take it to your broker, escalate it. I don't care if you have to take it to the real estate commission. If they're not doing the job, then get from under them and get somebody else. But get the education, because I know agents that sell 1 to 2 houses a year that will run circles around people that sell 50 houses a year, because you don't know why somebody sells a small amount of houses. That doesn't mean they're necessarily not qualified. I also know agents that will sell 40 or 50 houses and they will sell 20, 30 million. And that was the one that quoted that I was arguing the contract with them. They don't know the full rank of the contract. So you have to put in the dues. You have to spend the money, pay your GBBR dues, pay your licensing fees in order to make this business work. But if you're not willing to do the sacrifices up front, you're going to be stuck in the end.
I want to give you some unusual recommendation to go to YouTube and look up Kevin Hart, who has one of the most basic understandings of how to develop your business and how to save money. It's really amazing. And it would be the last person you would think of to do it. But what he says is, when you get a check, you put half of it in the bank. And then you take 10% and put it in this bucket for, and he divides it up. And in a real estate context, it would be put half of it in the bank for taxes, put 10% away for real estate expenses, put another 10% away for marketing costs. And then what's left over is yours. And if you do that up front, as opposed to just living hand to mouth and and spending that whole check. I know agents who've actually put what they owe in taxes on a credit card. I mean, it just mounts up. So I strongly suggest look for business advice. I don't know what you would call it, from Kevin Hart on YouTube. It's not a long video, and it's awesome. It
was good.
I mean, listen, and I'll say, to give solutions, because my approach tries to be solutions based. Nobody does it anymore, but if you have a checking or savings account, if you walk into these things, they still have called branches. They're usually business banking folks on staff that will sit with you and have a conversation with you where you can ask questions. Take advantage of those services. And sometimes it's meant for people to learn. I learned, let me be clear, any content that I do is going to be transparent. I learned at the door of a property where my central lock didn't work. Mm-hmm. Right? And it didn't work because there was something wrong with central lock. It didn't work because I didn't pay it. Right. So I had to learn.
Real Estate After Dark with Jason Hall.
I had to learn with 2 or 3 clients standing behind me, wondering why I can't get in a door. And I had to make some changes and make a fast payment and get it done. But sometimes we have to learn the hard way. The key is growth and development, and understanding that there's a cost to doing business, and we can structure it, but we have to get out of the victim blame game in our business. Anything that has happened positively or negatively has been based on my output and what I have done as an agent. It isn't the broker's fault that I didn't pay my central lock. It isn't GBBR's fault that I didn't pay my central lock. I'm grown. And at some point, we have to take a level of accountability in that, but also we got to get away from posturing. The majority of our business, and I don't blame our business, television has turned our business into posturing. When we watch these shows, it is 10% real estate, 90% nonsense, right? So it's made people feel like that's what we have to do to navigate things. So I appreciate my people for sharing their thoughts. Accountability matters. Yes, happy hour conversations matter, but some of these conversations are happening. The problem is that some of the folks that are seen as the most brightest in our business sometimes are deficient in certain areas, and because of posturing, don't want to do the work to educate themselves. If you're at a happy hour, you're at an event, there is someone at said event that can help you, but talk to them from a place of grace. Be nice. Don't fall into this chatty patty-ish sort of error where you want to hear about narratives of people. Talk to them and get to know them and understand. And once again, I'll end this with, go to the local board that you pay and see. Shout out to my guy, Mike Frank. Mike always tells a story of, man, when I started the business, I didn't have any money. My office was next to GBBR's office. Every event they had for free lunch, I went to. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to be there eating the lunch. And while I was eating the lunch, I was learning. Take advantage of those things. Come to those events. And if you think that we aren't having the right event, signups for committees are coming. Come join the committee. Come serve and present to us what area of opportunity that we're missing that we can fix to help. Because for what we pay in dues, the value, if we use the resources, is exponential.
Absolutely.
A GBBR fair is a big booster shot for anybody who wants to.
It's coming up 16th of October.
Right.